Hi, welcome to this video. My name's Tabassum from Beautiful Coaching, and I'm a self-mastery, success and self-esteem coach, and today I'm bringing you a video about triggers, and it's something that I've had loads of questions around recently, especially taking on the influx of new clients that I've had very recently this month. So I really wanted to share, because it's a really common question, like what is a trigger, and so I'm bringing this video to explain that. So if this is useful to you, please do share and let me know what you think. Hey lovely, thanks for watching. So I'm just going to read off a couple of my notes. So a trigger is a trauma response, right? It's a trauma reminder, and it can actually come from a smell, a place or a topic or something that engages our nervous system in such a way that causes us to get a survival response. And it's a memory that our body can hold, and one that it may feel that it comes out of nowhere. So a lot of people have triggers and all of a sudden they feel like they lose control, and a lot of people refer to triggers as a very negative kind of thing to deal with. So like it can be used in a very negative connotation, like, oh, have I just triggered you, or you know, that's kind of like how it's used. But the key message here in this video is actually triggers are really useful in recognizing our emotional patterns. So in order to heal, we create a new relationship with our trigger, and the reason that we do that is so that these triggers stop taking control of us. They tend to have an extremely negative connotation, which is something which I think isn't helped by media and other things, but it doesn't matter, because what you really need to understand, that when you're experiencing a trigger, we are in part seeing them as a gateway of kind of like unresolved trauma. So actually it's showing you that there's something going on here that isn't really resolved. So it's a really great experience to have, even though a lot of people see it as a very negative thing. It's really important to remember that we all experience triggers of some sort, even if they're subconsciously or consciously. Just some people are more consciously aware of what their triggers are than others. And what tends to happen is the ego comes into play. It offers protection in the mode of a survival instinct. So an emotional trigger will kind of trigger the fight or flight response in people. And it creates narratives, because what it does, it wants to create a story for protection. So the protection story may be deflecting or blaming. I hear so much judgment, and anything that it can avoid feeling emotion, because what having to feel the emotion does is then starts off the stress response in the body. So the triggers are actually your most powerful ally in actually healing yourself emotionally, but a lot of people don't see it that way initially. So I'm going to give you 3 tips that you can use to actually help yourself deal with an emotional trigger in the moment. But also, if you are dealing with emotional triggers regularly and you're finding they're getting quite frustrating for you, please do reach out, because as a coach, obviously there's lots of strategies that I have in place that I do advise clients and non-clients in my free group for you to actually deal with these trigger responses. And stuff like that can include anxiety, can be that can also be like an emotional trigger. So the first thing I'll say is breathing. Breathing is really important. What breathing does when you're triggered by anything, so what happens to your breathing is you enter into like a past situation. You're all of a sudden back there, you're in that situation, and the trauma just like takes over you. So your breathing obviously has to deal with that by coping with that with your body's response. So what I found that has helped with a lot of clients is just slowing down their breathing or changing the pace of their breathing. So what it might do, some people go into panic attacks, and that's usually not to do with the fact that they're breathing faster. Sometimes it's actually the fact that they actually are breathing slower, and less oxygen is getting to the brain, which is why they feel a bit sleepy. So the key is just to change your breathing into a regular calming pattern. Okay, and sometimes the people around us need to be in that state to help us through that. So if you've got somebody who also panics, they're probably not the best person to be around. Get somebody around you, or even if you're by yourself, to get yourself into a breathing pattern that is more comfortable, I suppose, and more relaxed. Okay, secondly, you need to witness your ego tantrum as an observer. And I will say, all of our triggers, they are ego tantrums. It's your ego going, oh my god, what is going on here, and then it just flips out. So what you really want to do is kind of envision that from the outside, and that can be really difficult to do if you're not aware of your patterns. So I would say just keep in mind that the trigger is always a positive thing. And the ego creates a story to help protect us. So often I hear people say, oh, that person doesn't care about me, which is why they behave that way. You don't know that that person doesn't care about you. You've made that assumption, and that can trigger you. So what you need to do is that you need to allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, and then you need to understand, where does that emotion originally come from? Where did it originate from? When was the first time that you felt this? Did you feel it in childhood? Did you feel abandoned? Is there something that's happened before that's made you feel like this again and again in different situations? And I think that's the key with uncovering and unmasking triggers. Sometimes the same response will happen in very different situations. I think that's why some people find it really difficult to uncover what their triggers are. You also need to understand that your ego is actually telling you this story, so it's not something that it's trying to protect you. And I think that's the key. A lot of people don't understand that. They hate getting triggered, but if it's something that's a body's response to protect you, then it's just a very normal thing, and everybody goes through it. So the third thing I will say is practice self-acceptance. One of the most things I hear in coaching sessions is, I need to get over this, this shouldn't have upset me, I shouldn't have let this affect me. What you need to actually do is give yourself some validation. Let your feelings be valid and sit with them, and understand it's actually really, really meaningful that you're going through this process, because it's a kind of like a shining light on, okay, I need to deal with something that's deeper going on here. So understand that it's meaningful, and instead try to learn to say, I'm safe to feel this experience, and it's okay, and this is my feelings are valid. But then when you're in a moment of like self-reflection, then maybe think about where that came from, where the trigger came from is a key to healing. So I hope this video has been useful. The 3 points I'm just going to say again briefly without explaining them. So one is breathe, slow down or speed up your breathing depending on what you need at that time. Understand as an observer that your ego is telling you a story to make you feel better, and that's okay. Remember, if you're telling yourself a story and you understand that you're telling yourself a story, it becomes a lot easier to get out of the trigger. So that's a really good key. I think that's what I do now whenever I feel like I'm triggered by something. If I understand, okay, what is my subconscious trying to, what's the reasoning, what's the story it's going to give me? Oh, that person doesn't like me, or that person doesn't care about me. So it's something that your subconscious tries to do to protect you. It doesn't mean any of those things. And also practice self-acceptance and self-validation. Your feelings are valid, and you always need to remember that, but just maybe make a note, see if this pattern occurs, see if you need help with it, and if you do need help with it, do reach out and message me, and I'll see if I can give you a strategy to help you. But I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope everything's going well for you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. But thank you so much for watching, and I shall catch you again on Thursday.